Once again, Ya Ali Madad. If you remember in one of the previous lecture, Nachiz had referred to one of the Quranic ayat without giving the reference. And it went like this, that when a mu'min or an arif receive the nur of imamat, he walks in you, meaning in people, with his nur. If anybody remembers that, we had said that in one of the just recent lecture a week or so ago. So we're going to go into more depth of this concept. Walking in people with your nur. Alright. So before we go there, I wanted to put out a question or two for you to think on, to ponder on. Can a mu'min who has the nur is same as the person who does not have a light? A person who has eyes, can it be same as a person who's blind? A person who is in Jannat, in heavens, can it be same as a person who is not in Jannat, in heavens? So what are we trying to do over here? We are trying to compare a mu'min, a believer, to non-believer. Why would we do that when Imam has said, don't talk about other people or don't compare other people? So why are we comparing? What is the purpose of that? Remember, we are not comparing to other people. We are comparing ourselves with ourselves. Meaning, are we believer? Are we mu'min? Are we with the light? Are we with the eyes? Are we in heaven? Or vice versa? Where are we? How do we gauge ourselves? Where do we stand? Until we ask this question, we'll be just running like a blind person, not knowing where we're going. Because we never thought to gauge ourselves to make sure that we are on the right path first, and then we are running on it with the right speed. Meaning, ऐसा तो नहीं है कि we are just sitting on a Siratul Mustaqim. Because no Ismaili can say that he's not on Siratul Mustaqim. You are on Siratul Mustaqim because you are in bayat of the Imam of the time. But are you sitting on Siratul Mustaqim? Because if it is a Sirat, a road, a path is not a place where you sit. On the road you're supposed to walk, run, or move ahead. When do you sit and where do you sit? When you are home. Ghar बैठने की जगह है ना. You don't go out on a highway and say, okay, I'm going to sit on a highway unless there's a traffic jam. But otherwise, we are driving and we are moving forward. And that's what we're supposed to do. So how do we see ourselves on Siratul Mustaqim? So now I will ask you to pull out the Surah Anam, ayat number 122. And we will talk on that ayat particularly today. Alright, you have it?
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
And is one who was dead, and we gave him life, and made for him light, by which to walk among the people like one who is in darkness. never to emerge therefrom. Thus, it has been made pleasing to the disbelievers that which they were doing.
That's it right there. Okay. So before we go and keep it open, we're going to go line by line.
इसको मैं उर्दू में पढ़ती हूँ।
जी पढ़े।
ऐसा शख्स जो पहले मुर्दा था, फिर हमने इसको जिंदा कर दिया और हमने इसको एक ऐसा नूर दे दिया कि वो इसको लिए हुए आदमियों में चलता फिरता है। क्या ऐसा शख्स उस शख्स की तरह हो सकता है जो तारीखियों से निकल ही नहीं पाता? इसी तरह काफिरों को उनके अमाल खुशनुमा मालूम हुआ करते हैं।
We're going to come back to this ayat line by line. So we will see how God is comparing those two kind of people, one with the light and one without the light. Think of two people in a dark jungle. They are both trying to cross this jungle, but it's very dark. One person has a flashlight with a lithium battery that does not die. And the other person has a box of match. He still have a light, but it's a box of match. They both start walking. The person with the box of match, when he goes a little bit deeper in the jungle, he feels it's just too dark. He's keep bumping into bushes and trees. So he stops, collects some wood. He has a match, so he put a light to it. Now we can see a path few feet away. So he start walking in the light of their fire. But what he figures out, as soon as he crosses like 5-10 feet, or sometime a little bit more, the light does not work anymore. He left behind. He would have to collect more wood, and he would put another light to it. After doing that few times, he runs out of match. He no longer have anything to start the fire. So what happens to him then? He keeps bumping into things, and then he gets lost eventually. Here, just to remember, he did have a light here and there. Once in a while, he did have a light. Okay. Come to the other person. Since he had the flashlight on him all the time, which was working constantly, he moves through that jungle and makes it on the other side without getting single scratch on himself. Easy path. Not that the jungle was easy, but because he had the light that he can see, he was able to find his way out. That is a comparison of a person with a light and a person who had the light here and there, but not a permanent light. So how do we understand that? And the reference of that is Surah Baqarah, ayat number 17. Thank you for pulling that out. That is reference in Quran. Surah Baqarah, ayat number 17 of this story that we just heard. Now, what we are saying here, as an Ismaili, we do have a light of the Imamat. We do have a guidance of the Imam. And once in a while, we do use the light to find the path, to move ahead. But the problem is we are using that once in a while, here and there. We don't have that constant light that we need to move through this jungle, this life, easily and make it on the other side without a single scratch. So here again, I'm trying to bring attention to the matter, which one are we? We don't need to compare others, we're talking about ourselves. Are we this number one, man with the match, or number two, man with the lithium battery flashlight? Who are we? Which one are we? Or which one we like to be? Let's come back to our original ayat. So in Surah Nam, ayat number 122, God is comparing two people, one with the light and one who is in the darkness. Now, who is in darkness? I would say all of us at the beginning are in darkness until we receive the nur of Imamah. So God said that you were dead, then I gave you life. Now a wise person can think, shouldn't it be the other way around? Normally humans are alive, then they die. But God is saying the other way around. He said, no, you were dead, then I gave you life. So what is that death and what is that life that God is talking about? A person without the light is just like having no life, is dead. If you do some comparison, so take the dust or rock and take the vegetation. Which one is alive and which one is dead? Compared to vegetation, the dust and the rocks are dead. But which comparison? To the vegetation. Now you take the vegetation and the animal. Which one is alive? Even though vegetation was alive compared to the rock, but compared to the animal, because of the movement in the animal, they are alive compared to the vegetation. So at this point, vegetation is dead compared to the animal. Now take the animal and human. Because human has Ruhe Natika, the speaking soul, and the intellect. Compared to animal, they are alive. But if you take the human compared to angels, we can say we are not even alive. Because we are just like animal. We are born, we eat, maybe we get married, have children, and then we will die. What we have done, which an animal does not do. Animal does exactly the same thing. They are born, they eat, they may have some children, and they die. So there is no difference between us and animal, meaning we are dead. Compared to a human who is really, really alive, meaning with the light of Imamat. Until that light, even though we may look like we are living, but in the eye of the God, we are not living our life. We are just like a dead person who's walking in the dark, not knowing where he is going. He's bumping into things. He's just moving forward without knowing anything, without seeing anything, because he has no light to go with. Okay. When a moment receives the Isme Azam from the Imam, what's his goal at that point? His goal should be to focus and move forward with the light. Now at this point the light is not the nur we are talking about, with the guidance or the light of the guidance of the Imam. So he may receive that light eventually which is guiding him, which is the light of Imam or nur of Imam. So now we have two kind of light, light of guidance and light of nur. If we are calling both of them light, so what we are saying here, the knowledge is also a light and nur is also a light. How do you understand that? Because now I just made it a little bit complicated because I'm calling two different things light. How do we understand that? Think of our eyes. Only reason we can see with this eyes because there is a light up here. Now if you close that eye, Even if there is a light, you cannot see it. So what do you need? You need two things. Keep your eyes open and have a light. So you can say, I have an eyesight, or I have eyes to see, and I also need a light to see. You need two things. Come back to our subject. You need a guidance, knowledge, light of the knowledge to get to the light, which is the light of Nur. Another example of that would be sun. Our eye can hardly see a mile or maybe a little bit more or less away. It cannot see further than that. But as you elevate yourself, and if you go on top of a building, a tall building, you may be able to see 4, 5, 6 miles away. Things will be very small, but you can see it. But after that, behind that, you cannot see anything. It's just too far for your eyes to reach. Then how do we see sun and the moon, which is millions of miles away? How do we see it? Which is not possible with our normal eye. It is not our eye that is reaching millions of miles away, but it is the light of the moon and sun which is reaching our eye. So again, what do you need? Two things. Your eyes and the light of the moon or the sun which is reaching into your eyes or to your eyes. So you can see millions of miles away now. Otherwise it's not possible. Like during the daytime we don't see the moon. Even the moon is still there. Why don't we see it? Because the earth is blocking it. During the day, earth is blocking the moon. And during the night, how come we don't see the sun? Because earth is blocking the sun at that point. How do we understand that in ourselves? Imam's nur and guidance, both are always available within us, always. It is us that is blocking the light. Otherwise we do have eyes, but we are an example of a blind person because we ourselves is blocking the moon, the guidance of Imam, and the sun, the nur of Imam. We are blocking it ourselves. So now, once we know what is causing this, what do we need to do? Remove that curtain, remove that blockage that is blocking it. We need to remove that. So how do we remove that? And the first thing we have to do is compare ourselves to ourselves and see what are we doing, what is causing this issue, what is the problem, what we do not have. So what we will find out is actually light is always there. Our eyes are closed. We think our eyes are open, but it is not. And due to that, we cannot see. Like a person who would close his eyes and say, how come it's so dark today? Sun did not come out. No, sun was out. You need to open your eyes. We are like that within us. The inner eyes that we have, we need to open that eyes. Because nur is always there. The guidance is always there. We just need to open the eyes. And so now we're going to read that ayat again. And we will see. So first, God is talking about that you are dead, I made you alive. A person who has not received Isma Azam yet, he has not received the key to open their eyes. He has not received the key. Shukr alhamdulillah, we have received that key. We have that key of Isma Azam. So now we need to do the second part. We were dead, we wanted to become alive, so we went and got the key. That was the first part. Now what is the second part? Go ahead and read that ayat, please.
And is one who was dead, and we gave him life, and made for him light by which to walk among the people like one who is in darkness.
Okay, right here. So he's saying, so we gave him the light. Now, we will not talk about this today, but do write it down and remember somewhere. Why does God talk about himself as a we, not I? Yeah, we need to think about that. Underline word, we, not I. Okay. We gave him the light so he can walk amongst the people or within them. How would a person walk with his light, with his nur in the people? How would he do that? Or who? First, let's say who. Imam is that first person who has that complete light of nur of Allah, and he walks amongst. Imam is the first one. So first, this ayat is talking about Imam. But if we only take the Quran and its guidance as it is for the Imam, then where would be the guidance for us? And the best way to read Quran and understand Quran is always to bring that closer to yourself. Apply that to yourself. So if you are the one God is talking about in this ayat, if this ayat was about you, then what is Allah saying to you? If you do receive that light, and remember, we have two kinds of light. We already made that clear. And you have to remember that. Yeah? So I don't have to repeat that every time. So Allah does give you the light. How will you walk amongst the people? There would be two different ways. One, with the light of the knowledge, and other one would be with the light of the nur. So you can give them the first light, or you can also help them with the second light, and you can do both. Now, we understand the first one is easy to understand. Second one is a little bit harder to understand. How can you give your nur to somebody else? That's mind-boggling, right? Because it's not something that you can just pick it up and give to somebody else. You cannot do that. So how would you walk in or among the people with your nur, with your light? So first of all, that would be with your action. With your action, you can show them how they can reach their light. Number one. Number two, if you have the light of the nur of Imamat, you also have all the souls of all the people within yourself. Within yourself. Because when the nur comes, at the same time, all the souls also comes within you. Now, when you like somebody, and there's underlined word, when you like someone, you see someone in Jamaatana, and you say, oh, this person is so nice, you know, I wanted to give him something. Because you are with the nur of Imam in you, the light is lit, as soon you think that, the nur gets transferred into that person, right then and there. Now you're saying, if that is the thing, you just transfer your nur into him, now you must be empty. Because in physical world, there's a lot of work. If I take this cup and move it over here, this cup will no longer be here. With the nur, it doesn't work like that. Nur is omnipresent. So when you like somebody, when you see someone, and if you make that intention that I like this person, I think this person should have light. Just by thinking that, you transfer your nur into him. Or you make a copy of your nur. Let's just make it easier. Make a copy of your nur and you transfer that into him. So you can obviously say, so you're saying that person who did not do anything, no ibadat, nothing, all of a sudden he got the nur. And you had to work so hard to get your nur. Why would you do that? So did that person really have a nur? Well, your intention is for him to have a nur, but remember he still needs to open his eyes. Why am I saying this, or what am I trying to say over here? Imam, when he comes to Didar and Darbar, he is doing exactly that. He's looking at you, each one of you, and He is giving His nur to you. He has done that already. When Imam comes to Darbar, he comes, he looks at you, and he gives his nur to you. It's done already. And I'm sure she'll be able to find ayat that says, God's work is always done. It never will be. It's not in the future, it's done.
Wada maf'ul.
Madai,
Wada maf'ul.
Padai Maful. And she will find a reference to that. The God promise is always done. He has done it. So when Imam comes, he gives you the nur. So Imams walk in you with his nur. What do we need to do? Open our eyes so we can see the nur. Alright, come back to that ayat again. The second part was that he will give you the light so you may walk in people with his nur. So what happens next?
So I'm going to read again this. And is one who was dead, and we gave him life and made for him light by which to walk among the people, within the people, like one who is in darkness, never to emerge therefrom.
So now he's comparing the person who walks in people with this light is not like the person who is in the darkness. So person who is in darkness, he cannot walk amongst the people. Why not? So person who does not have those two kind of light, he cannot give light to other person, nor he can teach the light to the other person. Because he himself is in darkness. You know, that reminds me of very, very old Sultan Muhammad Shah Farman. Because we are talking about this light and who can give light or not. Sultan Muhammad Shah said about the REC teacher. Sultan Muhammad Shah has given us the guidance who can be a night school teacher. And listen to this one. A night school teacher can only be who understand the religion. Number one. And he also understand the batin. He has put those two conditions in night school teacher. उर्दू में कि जो मजहब की कुछ खबर रखता है और रूहानियत की कुछ सूझबूझ रखता है. In English, who understand his religion and he also understand the batin. If you don't have those two, you cannot be a night school teacher.
That's a criteria.
There was a condition put on REC teachers at that time. Let's say 100 years ago. Because when you're teaching religious education, and if you don't understand yourself, how are you going to teach it to others? So there would be like this ayat over here. So only person can walk in people who would have a light, and then God compares, not the one who is in darkness himself. कि जो अंधेरे में है वो कहीं नहीं जा रहा है. He's not going anywhere. If he's not going anywhere, he cannot be walking amongst the people. He cannot be. Alright, so what's next?
About the disbelievers. Thus,
Yes.
it has been made pleasing to the disbelievers that which they were doing.
So now here there are two different meanings to this last verse. First, the way it is written, it is the disbeliever who think their good deeds are good deeds. And God said, I'm going to just blow that away. Because in God's eyes, those good deeds are not good deeds. But there's another meaning of that. That who is believer, all his deeds will be good deeds. Remember, we are comparing, we are not talking about anybody else. So never say, ye kisi aur ke liye hai. Never say, this is for somebody else. No, it is for us. So if that is the case, if you are disbeliever, then it doesn't matter how good deeds we are doing. In God's eyes, those are not good deeds. It does not even matter. But if you are a believer, if you are with the light of Imam, then all your deeds are good deeds. All your deeds. Even your eating food, even your sleeping, even your talking, even your work, raising family, all that becomes a good deed for you. Everything. So we should end right here and see if there's any question. This was a hard subject, but because we had talked about this particular words in our previous lecture, and we never covered how would a mu'min or an arif will walk amongst people or within the people with his nur. So I thought I would explain that part in this lecture to make sure there is no question from the last one.
Wada maf'ul
Wada Maful, the reference was
4 by
4,
by 95.
Surah 4 and ayat number 95. The God promise is always done. There is no future that He will fulfill that. Thank you. Ya Ali Madad.